Have you ever wondered how the land of today's America was born? From the formation of the Earth, from dinosaurs to giant mammoths, the history of North America is fascinating. Undersea creatures, the breakup of Pangaea, the dominance of fearsome dinosaurs, and finally the arrival of humans, the geological history of this continent will amaze you. Let's take a trip back in time. Once upon a time, North America was under the sea. Dinosaurs ruled, and then came giant mammoths and saber-toothed cats. But what made all these giant animals extinct? At the end of the video, you'll find out all the secrets of North America's terrifying and fascinating geological history. The geological history of North America begins with the formation of the Earth and extends to the rise of mankind and the beginning of the prehistoric era. During this long period, numerous geological changes and the gradual development of life took place in North America. At the beginning of the Paleozoic era, today's North America was actually located in the southern hemisphere. At that time, vast parts of the continent were under the sea, where marine life flourished. However, the evolution of land-dwelling animals had not yet begun. By the end of the Paleozoic era, these seas gradually turned into swamps. These wetlands became the main habitat for amphibians and early reptiles. Later, when the Earth's continents merged to form Pangaea, a drier climate prevailed in North America. During this time, the ancestors of mammals gradually began to dominate, but a sudden mass extinction ended their dominance. The Mesozoic era begins with the Triassic era. It was during this time that dinosaurs evolved and slowly began to dominate. They soon spread to various parts of what is now the United States. At the same time, the huge supercontinent Pangaea began to break up. North America slowly moved north and west. By the end of the Jurassic period, the western kingdoms were extensive floodplains. Dinosaurs like Allosaurus, Apatosaurus, and Stegosaurus lived there. The Gulf of Mexico widened further during the Cretaceous period. It once split North America in two. At that time, huge marine reptiles like plesiosaurs and mosasaurs swam in the ocean waters. In the later ages, the Gulf began to recede slowly. New dinosaurs reappeared on the coastal plains of the western states. Edmontosaurus, Triceratops, and the fearsome Tyrannosaurus then roamed the region. Finally, another catastrophic mass extinction ended the reign of the dinosaurs. Then began the Cenozoic era, a new life chapter. The vast inland seas of the Cretaceous period gradually dried up. From this time, mammals began to dominate the land. During the Eocene period, small primitive camels and horses appeared in the western kingdoms. With them lived the terrible carnivores, the creodonts. Mammals soon entered the sea. Then the ancient whale Basilosaurus swam in the southeastern coastal waters. During the Oligocene, South Dakota was dominated by the rhinoceros-like titanotheres. From then until the Pleistocene, the climate of the United States gradually cooled. Once upon a time, huge glaciers spread all around. Saber-toothed cats roamed the earth then. Along came the giant woolly mammoth and mastodon. Dire wolves were feared as hunters. It was around this time that humans crossed a land bridge from Siberia to Alaska. Many of these giant animals gradually became extinct due to human hunting. About 1.4 billion years ago, Earth was a very different world. In California's Bake Springs region lived Earth's earliest eukaryote life. They didn't just survive, they harvested energy from light and gave off oxygen, gradually making Earth's atmosphere as breathable as ours. From Michigan's Lake Superior to Nevada's rock strata, these Precambrian fossils tell us how from single cells to complex multicellular organisms are born. Now we stand at the door of the mysterious world where the history of life on Earth is written in the first oxygen bubble. Do you want to know how these ancient creatures created the first suffocating air of the Earth? These organisms could photosynthesize and produce oxygen as a result of their bodily activity.
Eukaryotes and other Precambrian photosynthetic organisms at Bake Spring released oxygen, which gradually made Earth's atmosphere breathable. Fossils of Precambrian cyanobacteria from this age have been found in Michigan's Upper Peninsula between Copper Harbor and Eagle Harbor on the shores of Lake Superior. The fossil record also shows evidence for the existence of complex multicellular life after the appearance of the first eukaryotic cells. Some of Nevada's rock strata contain fossilized traces of worms buried under sediments about 1 billion years ago. Fossils of more complex Precambrian life forms have also been found in North Carolina and Arizona.
About 540 million years ago, Earth was very different. The continents were not arranged as they are today, and the first stage of biodiversity as we know it was born on the ocean floor. Today, we will travel to a time when animals like trilobites, brachiopods, and giant salamanders ruled the Earth. Imagine, the same landmass that is today's United States was once a hot, shallow sea and lifeless wasteland. And the catastrophes, mass extinctions, and the emergence of new life that happened in every era were being written on the pages of the world's epics. In this video, we'll see how each phase of the Paleozoic era, Cambrian to Permian, changed the Earth and how the seeds of our current biodiversity have grown since then. The Phanerozoic era began just after the Precambrian era ended. The first major chapter of this Phanerozoic period was the Cambrian period of the Paleozoic period. At that time, the location of the continents of the world was completely different from today. The continents then were generally much smaller in size than they are today. The southeastern part of today's United States was then connected to South America and Africa. That region was then located near the polar region of the southern hemisphere. And the western states of the present-day United States were very close to the equator. During the Cambrian period, all of Earth's known biodiversity was aquatic, so the areas of the present-day United States that were above seas were lifeless wastelands. Trilobites are the most abundant animal in the fossil record of the Cambrian period. Of particular note is the Ilrathia found in the Antelope Springs area of Utah. Sponge-like archaeocyathids were common in the Nevada region. Besides trilobites, brachiopods, gastropods, and sponges were important animals of the Cambrian period. At the end of the Cambrian period, sea level began to fall in North America. As a result, shallow water ecosystems are likely to be severely destroyed. The Cambrian period ended with a major mass extinction. Brachiopods and gastropods have lost much of their biodiversity around the world. About half of the sponge families became extinct. At the same time, about 3/4 of the extant trilobite family became completely extinct. When the oceans rose again, much of the Earth's continents were submerged. Brachiopods are the most abundant marine animals in the fossil record of the Ordovician period. During the Middle Ordovician period, their numbers increased greatly around the Cincinnati region of the United States. Brachiopods in this area were so well preserved that they can still be studied in detail today. Fossils of these animals have also been found in Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. The best-known Ordovician trilobites were very different from their Cambrian ancestors because the few trilobite species that survived a previous mass extinction diversified again. During the Middle Ordovician period, some primitive jawless fishes called ostracoderms appeared. These fish were unarmored and they left bone fragments in the present Rocky Mountain region. At the end of the Ordovician period, sea level began to fall gradually. Another catastrophic mass extinction followed, ending the Ordovician period. About 25% of the world's animal families became completely extinct in this catastrophe. The most affected are brachiopods, fishes, echinoids, sponges, and trilobites. This mass extinction was particularly severe for the trilobites, as they lost about 50% of their entire family. During the Silurian period, warm and shallow seas covered most of North America. Today's Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan were home to great coral reefs. Indiana's coral reefs, in particular, were among the most diverse on the continent. At this time, Southeast America was still part of the large landmass called Gondwanaland. Animals called graptolites still lived in the seas off the east coast of the United States. However, they were not as dominant in the Silurian period as in the Ordovician period. As the Silurian period progressed, the sea gradually began to recede from much of the country. Only the territories of Michigan and New York were still underwater, as they were located near the equator. These seas were landlocked, meaning they had no direct connection with the outside sea. As a result, fresh water did not enter there. Gradually, the water evaporates, and as a result, huge amounts of salt started accumulating in those areas.
North America came alive again during the Devonian period. In fact, the Devonian period had the greatest number and diversity of marine life than any other period in the Paleozoic era. During this time, glass sponges grew in abundance in the western New York region. The marine fossils of Cuyahoga County, Ohio, were especially important. This area was once home to more than 120 species of marine life. Local fish alone have left over 50,000 fossils. The oldest seed-bearing plant in history originated in Pennsylvania in the late Devonian period. These plants were probably seed ferns. Although they looked like ferns, they propagated by seeds rather than spores. It was during this time that Gilboa Forest, one of the earliest forests on Earth, was formed in New York. But the end of the Devonian period was terrible. Another mass extinction occurred during this time, in which approximately 25% of the world's animal families became extinct. Almost all families of ammonoids, fish, and amphibians were lost in this extinction. Also, most known families of corals and trilobites became completely extinct. Many other animal groups, such as brachiopods, bryozoans, crinoids, and ostracods, also suffered severely during this period. The later Mississippian fossil age is called the crinoid age. It is known mainly because of the abundant fossils of this group. Other common organisms of this period include their relatives, the blastoids. A type of pinhead-shaped foraminiferan, Endothyra, feeds on seafloor detritus. It was very abundant on the seafloor during the Mississippian. The limestones that formed in Illinois and Missouri are almost entirely composed of remains of Endothyra. Fossils of terrestrial life are rare in the Mississippian region of North America from this period. During the later Pennsylvanian, the northward flow of Gondwanaland eventually crossed the southeastern United States to meet North America. It was during this time that the continent of Pangaea began to slowly form. Mountain formations give rise to the ancestors of the ancient Rocky Mountains in Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. Seawater slowly recedes from the interior of the country. The country was then covered with dense vegetation and extensive swamps. The Pennsylvanian period is known as one of the largest insect busts in Earth's history. Amphibians such as giant salamanders left footprints near Lawrence, Kansas, which later turned into fossils. Fossil footprints from this period have also been found in eastern states such as Alabama, Georgia, West Virginia, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. In particular, these fossil footprints from the Carboniferous period provide invaluable information for scientists. During the entire Permian period, all of the continents of the world were united and formed the huge supercontinent Pangaea. There was volcanic activity on the west coast, which often changed the landscape. There was a vast sea on the southwest and west coasts. The seas off Texas were filled with giant reefs of spiny brachiopods. In the east, the sea dried up in Kansas, New Mexico, and Texas, forming huge layers of salt. The interior of the western United States had a hot and dry climate. Sand dunes were seen almost everywhere in the entire region. Insects of the Permian period were common but varied, but smaller than those of the Pennsylvanian. About 20 different orders of insects are preserved at Insect Hill near Elmore, Kansas. Although large amphibians are not rare in the southwestern United States, they cannot move far from water bodies. Samoria was a species about 20 inches long, showing signs of transition from amphibian ancestors to reptiles. Reptiles began to flourish during the Permian period. Peleosaurus, Dimetrodon, and Edaphosaurus also lived in Texas. By the end of the Permian period, therapsids became dominant among large terrestrial vertebrates. These therapsids were the ancestors of modern mammals. The Permian era ended with the most devastating mass extinction in Earth's history. During this time, about 96% of all species on Earth could become extinct. Rugose and tabulate corals disappear completely. Faunal diversity and abundance prior to the Paleozoic era also suffered. Cryptostome and Trepostome bryozoa became extinct during this period. Brachiopods suffered massive losses and never recovered to their former numbers or diversity. Ammonoids lost all families, only a few families survived. Eurypterids and trilobites also became completely extinct. Most families of blastoids and crinoids also became extinct. Only one species of echinoids survives. The surviving animals were generally small detritivores and sediment feeders.
filter feeders and carnivores suffer the most.
Once upon a time, today's United States was part of an incredible landmass within Pangaea, between oceans and volcanoes. The dance and lifestyle of this landscape created scenes you can't even imagine. Dinosaurs, ichthyosaurs, vast forests, coral reefs, all once roamed this land. About 225 million years ago, how did animals and plants in the eastern and western parts of North America write a new chapter in Earth's history? Today, we take a trip to the mysterious Mesozoic era, where dinosaurs walked, oceans roared, and volcanoes spewed smoke. Are you ready to dive into that ancient tale of history? During the Triassic period of the Mesozoic era, the eastern United States was largely part of the interior of Pangaea. This region was then located near the Earth's equator. It was connected with Western Europe and Africa. As all the continents came together, the flow patterns of the atmosphere and oceans changed. This results in a warm climate and clear seasons in the eastern United States today. Due to its location at about 30 degrees latitude, there was high atmospheric pressure and low rainfall. By the end of the Triassic period, the western United States was largely covered by seawater. At the same time, mountain building and volcanic activity were also taking place. During the Triassic period, life on Earth slowly recovered after the Permian mass extinction. After this mass extinction, ammonoids became the first marine invertebrates to become abundant and diverse again. During the Middle Triassic period, scleractinin corals with characteristics similar to modern oceans first appeared. Corals were relatively scarce in North America then. However, some corals are found on the west coast, but they are not clustered in any large reefs. Ichthyosaurs are considered to be the most important marine reptiles during the Triassic period. Significant ichthyosaur fossils from this era were preserved in Nevada soils. During the Triassic period, a variety of plants grew on the North American landmass. Conifers, cycads, ferns, ginkgos, and horsetails were scattered throughout. The flora of the East Coast shows that this rift valley had a swampy environment at that time. Arizona was then a vast forest, which eventually became the famous petrified wood of today. This is when reptiles began to dominate a variety of environments: ocean, land, and even the sky. And that's why we call the Mesozoic the Age of Reptiles. Dinosaurs first appeared on Earth at the end of the Triassic period. The Four Corners area is rich in dinosaur fossils. This region is now known as one of the best sources of Triassic dinosaur fossils in the United States. Texas is also an important site for dinosaur fossils from that period. The oldest dinosaur fossils found in East America are about 225 million years old. This suggests that dinosaurs arrived in East Coast America long before they were first born. Footprints are the most common dinosaur fossils in East America. As the Triassic period ended, the continent of Pangaea slowly broke up. North America, Europe, and Africa gradually separated into separate plates. Rift valleys are formed along the east coast in this separation process. These cracks extend as far as Florida. Some of the rifts were flooded with seawater, and the new Atlantic Ocean formed here. This tectonic process of breaking up Pangaea resulted in the deposition of volcanic limestone in eastern America. Another major mass extinction occurred at the end of the Triassic period. As a result of this event, about a quarter of the animal families disappeared from the Earth. Conodont animals become completely extinct. Ammonoids are numbered greatly. Brachiopods also lost much of their ancient diversity. Most families of terrestrial amphibians and reptiles also became extinct. During the early Jurassic period, the east coast of the United States became warmer and wetter. This was due to the newly formed Atlantic Ocean, which brought moist air into the region. A large number of fossils are preserved in the Newark supergroup from the late Triassic to the early Jurassic. This supergroup extends from Nova Scotia in Canada to South Carolina. During the early Jurassic period, the geological division of the eastern part of the country continued. The eastern United States was then completely isolated from Greenland and Europe. During this time, the Pacific Plate is forced to pass under the North American Plate.
This resulted in major uplift on the west coast, including volcanic activity. Ichthyosaurs were the dominant marine reptiles during the early Jurassic period. However, as the Jurassic period progressed, the ichthyosaurs gradually gave way to the plesiosaurs. These stratified rocks, known as the Morrison Formation, were deposited during the late Jurassic period. Today, they are found in Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota, and Montana. At the time, the area was densely forested with conifers, ginkgos, and tree ferns. Later, coal was produced from the plant parts of these forests. The diversity of small and large mammals in the region was very high during the Jurassic period. The Morrison Formation is one of the best places for Jurassic mammal fossils in North America. Local dinosaurs included the ornithopods Camptosaurus, the sauropods Apatosaurus and Diplodocus, and the theropods Allosaurus. There were no major extinctions until the end of the Jurassic period. During the early Cretaceous period, the Gulf of Mexico began to slowly expand northward. At this time, what is now the eastern United States looked like the modern Mississippi Delta. The whole area was a vast lowland plain divided by rivers. There was dense forest filled with a variety of plants, such as club mosses, conifers, cycads, ferns, ginkgos, and primroses. That is, this region was a place of indescribable beauty of nature. By the end of the Cretaceous period, the sea had extended from the Gulf of Mexico through North America to reach Alaska. This sea covered almost half of the surface of modern North America. It is called the Western Inland Seaway. This sea was over almost all the states of Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Dakota, and Wyoming. The ocean floor was smooth and probably never sank deeper than 600 feet. A great diversity of invertebrates evolved in both the benthic and the water column. Examples include ammonites, giant clams, crinoids, rudists, and squid. Bony fishes, mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, sharks, and turtles also lived here. Coastal areas south of New Jersey were also covered by seawater during the Cretaceous period. During the Cretaceous period, sea level reached its highest level in history. However, before the end of the era, sea levels began to fall. At that time, scleractin corals were more diverse than they are today. Coral reefs were formed along the Gulf Coast. Rudist bivalves also build reefs on seashores. Another popular bivalve, Exogyra, was so common that its fossils are found in almost every Cretaceous sea. At that time, a dominant group of living fishes, the teleosts, began their first invasion of Holstein ancestors. The aquatic toothed bird Hesperornis was the only known Cretaceous bird whose remains are frequently found in North America. By the end of the Cretaceous period, the western interior seaway began to slowly realize. The collapse of this seaway reunited the two parts of North America. As the seaway moved, a coastal plain extended southward, reaching the northern part of the western interior. At the same time, strong geological forces began to act on the rocks of Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming. As a result, the rocks began to fold and deform, and the process of forming the Rocky Mountains began. At that time, rivers in eastern Montana began to deposit sediment to form Hell Creek. Montana was home to many famous dinosaurs. Animals like Edmontosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus, Triceratops, and Tyrannosaurus lived here. In contrast to this rise of the West, the eastern United States remained geologically stable. The climate there is warm throughout the year, and rainfall is regular. Flowering plants became very common at that time. Fossils of broad-leaved trees and shrubs are preserved in late Cretaceous rocks. The Cretaceous period ended with a massive mass extinction. It is known as the second most destructive extinction in history. About half of the animals became extinct during this time. Among marine invertebrates, ammonoids and belemnoids become completely extinct. Planktonic foraminifera are very rare. About 2/3 of coral species become extinct. Half of the species in the sponge family are lost. Bivalves, bryozoans, and gastropods also suffered heavy losses. Major Mesozoic marine reptiles also became extinct. On land, non-avian dinosaurs and pterosaurs also disappeared. The most popular explanation for this mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period is a meteorite impact. Evidence of this impact is found in high levels of iridium on Earth's surface. Normally, iridium is rare on Earth, but abundant in meteorites. At that time, dinosaurs ranged over large parts of today's United States. Dinosaur fossils have been found in these U.S. states: Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia,
Washington, D.C., Wyoming, Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Maine, Michigan, New Hampshire, Ohio, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin.
About 66 million years ago, the age of the dinosaurs came to an end, but the world was still not at peace. A new era begins, the Cenozoic era, or Age of Recent Life. During this time, new kings of the animal kingdom emerged, from small insects to giant mammals, and even revolutionized the shape of ancient sharks and whales. But did you know that in the Badlands of South Dakota once roamed the horse's early ancestors, Oreodonts and Titanotheres? And how did the advent of glaciation bring our ancestors to new lands and drive many giant animals to extinction? Now we're going through incredible history where Earth's climate, sea level, and fauna changed together. Let's step into this revolutionary period in history. After the Cretaceous period, a new geological period begins. This period is called the Cenozoic period, the Age of Recent Life. The first part of this period used to be called the Tertiary, but the International Commission on Stratigraphy no longer encourages its use. They are the Paleogene, and geological instability was still going on in the Neogene era because the Pacific plate was sliding under the North American plate. At the beginning of the Cenozoic era, the climate was much warmer than today, even in the late Oligocene. During the Cenozoic era, the sea level dropped significantly. Parts of North America that were submerged at that time are now mostly located near the modern coast. The Cannonball Sea, located near Minot, North Dakota, was the last large inland sea in North America. Sea animals of the Cenozoic era were generally concentrated near the coast and resembled modern species in shape. Although solitary atolls have become common, coral reefs originally developed around the Gulf of Mexico. At that time, sharks were very common in the SeaWorld. Especially from the Eocene era, sharks started to increase significantly in size. The Cenozoic era began with the Age of Mammals. After the mass extinction of the late Cretaceous period, small beetle-like insects survived. They later led to the diversification of mammals that dominate modern terrestrial ecosystems. The first creodonts appeared in the Paleocene, the first specialized carnivorous mammals. Coastal areas of the southeast, such as Alabama and Mississippi, were submerged in the Eocene. This is where the ancient whale Basilosaurus lived. From the Eocene to the Miocene, the diversity of terrestrial carnivorous mammals increased. Around the same time, camels began to become common in North America. However, during the Eocene, these camels were no larger than modern rabbits. Early camels had 4 toes. In the early Eocene period, the first primitive horses are also seen. Among these first horses was Eohippus, a small animal. Eohippus had 4 toes on his front feet and 3 on his hind feet. A new group of mammals called Oreodonts also appeared during that time. During the Oligocene epoch, camels grew as large as sheep and only had 2 toes. Horses also lose toes over time, but they come up with a single toe. During this time, their teeth are adapted to eat growing grass. Horses gradually became common throughout the country. During the mid-Cenozoic era, large Oreodonts grazed the Badlands of South Dakota. These Oreodonts looked a little like pigs, but were similar in size to modern goats. During the Oligocene, they became the most numerous. The largest mammal in North America at the time was Titanotheres, a giant rhinoceros. A remarkable example is the Brontotherium of South Dakota, which could have stood up to 8 feet tall at the shoulder.
However, despite their initial success, the entire group disbanded by the end of the era. After the Oligocene, Earth's temperature began to decrease. As a result, warm climate vegetation moved south. During the Miocene, some sharks became progressively larger than the Eocene, reaching over 60 feet in length. At this time, the mastodon crossed the Bering Land Bridge northward into North America. Oreodonts became extinct during the Pliocene. At the end of the Pliocene, more modern carnivores such as wolves and cats appeared. Most notable during this era were the saber-toothed cats. Woolly mammoths were abundant in the United States during the late Cenozoic era. At the end of the Pleistocene epoch, the glaciation caused the freezing of large amounts of water. This resulted in a drop in sea level and exposed a land bridge connecting Asia and Alaska. Humans crossed this bridge and settled in North America about 11,000 to 12,000 years ago. About 10,000 years ago, 32 large mammals suddenly extinct with climate change and glacial advance. Horses became locally extinct by the end of the Pleistocene. Some paleontologists link this extinction to overhunting by early humans. Extinction of other predators, including saber-toothed cats, may also result from the loss of their food sources. However, this explanation is still not entirely certain. Where the age of dinosaurs ended, the Cenozoic era began, the revolutionary journey of everything from small insects to giant mammals, ancient sharks to whales, from oreodonts to titanotheres, eohippus to early horses at the edges of North and South America. These animals have reshaped the history of our world. The arrival of glaciers, climate change, and the rise of humans. All in all, the world has witnessed a strange and fascinating chapter. Can you imagine how we reached today's world through this huge change? Then subscribe, like, and let us know in the comments which ancient animals surprised you the most.